Oh, it's you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scumm Bar. The Scumm Bar Podcast, Marvel Movie Marathon, where we go through the 22 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Iron Man donning his first suit and ending with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. We're going to talk Iron Man, Captain America, Marvel, and everything in between. I'm your host, Captain Mattbrush, and with me today is Nick Fury himself.
I always keep one eye open. Shing.
Shing. Brandishing his one eye.
Also, okay, when you started talking, this is obviously the loudest you'd ever talked.
Oh, did
in
it
the
just
intro.
peak like immediately?
And so no, but you know, like the audio kind of can't. Well, it'll like silence itself out when it's trying to like balance. And so yeah, you started off really loud, and then you went. It sounded like really far away. So I had to like my ears had to squint.
Oh yeah, you know, there is a thing there. I don't know what that's called, but where you actually squint your hearing, you know? I'm going to avoid talking about Captain Marvel as much as I can as possible, so I apologize my tangent on this episode. Warning, the Scumm Bar Podcast is going to contain spoilers for this movie, sort of, and the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you are not into spoilers, please do not listen forwards. Listen backwards.
Yes.
If you enjoy the Scumm Bar Podcast, be sure to leave us a like or subscribe or a comment. Or anything, really, on any of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Just leave us stuff. We like stuff.
Leave us a star. Leave us a froggy. Leave us
interesting.
Isn't that a thing, like a frog thing? I feel like a frog sticker, you know?
Oh, wait, that's isn't that from like Harry Potter? They have like frog gum or
what?
Frog coins?
Oh, chocolate frogs. Chocolate frogs.
Chocolate frogs.
Yeah.
We got it.
We did it.
Again, already on a tangent.
Anything to not talk about Captain Marvel. This week for our Marvel Movie Marathon, we're going to be talking about 2019's Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Jude Law, and Ben Mendelsohn.
I see what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. Anth0z, without further ado, please just tell us what this movie's about, because I didn't understand it.
Okay. After crashing the experimental aircraft, Air Force pilot Carol Danvers is discovered by the Kree and trained as a member of the elite Star Force military under the command of her mentor, Yon Rogg. 6 years later, after escaping the Earth while under attack by the Skrulls, Danvers begins to discover there's more to their past. With help from S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, Agent Nick Fury, they set out to unravel the truth. Okay.
Whew. Wow, well done, sir.
Done.
I will say, I did miss the pause after Carol Danvers, but other than that was well done.
On purpose. That was deliberate. You did all the pausing for me, and I felt the need to not.
Before we split this movie into 3 parts, and we're going to be very brief on this, I apologize, but we've got to also do Endgame a little bit later on today, and so we're kind of rushing a little bit through Captain Marvel, but also, do you really mind that we're rushing through Captain Marvel? Because I don't.
You can tell that there's a bias.
A little bit, and I'm trying, well, no, I'm not really trying all that hard, but yeah, there is a bit of a bias. Anyways, before we break this down, I normally like to talk about what it was like when I saw this movie in theaters, but this is literally the first time I've actually seen this movie all the way through. I never had seen it all the way through. I turned it off last time I watched it, and that was at home. So I never saw this in theaters, and I never got through the movie. This time I finally sat through, watched the whole thing. I gave it a good college try.
Sure. Good for you. So
yeah, we'll get into it as we talk. But do you remember seeing this movie? Did you see it in theaters?
Yeah, I did see it in theaters. I think my interest from it, or my interest throughout watching it, went from like high and gradually went low and low and low and low watching the rest of the movie. I just remember like the very end just hating this last scene, which we'll get to, but it's like the last confrontation, and it bugged the heck out of me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll agree. Okay, and before we start dunking on this movie, like we're probably going to for most of this podcast, I want to just make a note. It's not just Brie Larson. It's not like I hate Brie Larson or anything like that. I've seen the movie Room, I think it was called, and like she's really good at acting in that. I know she's a good actress. So I'm not saying that she's a bad actress. I just think the way this character was written, and a lot of the characters in this movie were written, is just not very entertaining. And this movie is more akin to a DC film, and I mean that in the sense of their main character is boring, and the side characters are not pulling the plot as well if you have a boring main character. And I'll use my example as Black Panther, where Black Panther I didn't find T'Challa all that interesting, but I found the other characters more interesting to carry the plot. Well, that doesn't happen in this one. I don't really like Talos, and I don't really like Nick Fury in this film. So it's hard for me to have anybody else even carry it. So it feels like a DC film where there's a bit of a chore to get through some scenes to get to other scenes you might want to watch. And that's more where my anger lies in this film, because no other Marvel movies have done that to me. But this one.
Okay. I can see how in... Like, what I didn't like with some of the characterizations were some things just seemed really... Actually, maybe a lot of things seemed really forced. So in terms of... and I guess it has to do with how the character is written. I mean, it could also just be creative direction in terms of, like, not just necessarily the writing, but in terms of, throughout each of the scenes, they try to find, like, how would this character move or react or something, and maybe it's being a bit nitpicky, but it's enough that it really distracts me. So for example, Yon Rogg, the way that he's always trying to emphasize things to Carol Danvers, it just seems like okay, they almost want to paint him to be sort of like the Obi-Wan to Anakin sort of thing, right? Or like the Jedi to the Apprentice. Like he's always trying to impart some sort of very like deep knowledge or something that's just like so important for her character or something for the movie, but it seems so forced. And I can't say that they're doing it because they're trying to give hints that like, oh, he's actually not a good guy, he's a bad guy. It just, to me, it pops up too much as just forced. So and I get that from some of the other characters as well, unfortunately. I mean, it would have been great to enjoy this movie more, considering how much impact Carol or Captain Marvel can have with the Avengers and the rest of I'm sure what we're going to happen with see with the rest of the movies, but hopefully we can get more, I guess, depth with the character, or more things to just enjoy, I guess. Yes. Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. So Act 1, I named Birth of Vers. What did you name it?
Vers. I wrote, I wrote these act titles, but I don't really remember why. Because I almost forgot a lot of them.
I wrote all this last week, actually, so I don't really remember it.
Yeah, so mine is called I Laugh and Quote on the Inside Quote.
Okay.
And I think it was probably supposed to be some sort of reference to something that happened in the movie. Like somebody said that they laugh. I don't know.
I don't even remember.
Anyway.
That's how I feel watching it, though.
Yeah.
When someone's like, oh, you didn't find that funny? No, I laughed. On the inside.
Yeah. Is that better? I don't know. Maybe that's not better. I mean, if you're laughing on the inside, that means you're still feeling the humor.
Oh, yeah, right? Definitely. I'm not denying that, but it's definitely better, I think, to have laughed out loud. That means you couldn't control it. You couldn't contain it,
Yeah.
All right, we got a scene here.
You want to have reactive humor.
We got a scene here with Carol Danvers and Talos. I'll play Carol. You play Talos.
Cool.
What did you do to me?
No, we're just after a little information.
What did you put in my head?
Nothing that wasn't already there.
But those aren't my memories.
Yeah, it's like a bad trip, isn't it? I'm not surprised you can't keep it straight. They really did a number on you.
Enough of your mind games. What do you want?
We're looking for the location of a Dr. Lawson and a Lightspeed engine.
I don't know any Dr. Lawson.
Really? Then why is she in your head?
Dun dun dun!
Dun dun dun!
See, okay, I was giving Carol a lot of, like, emotion when doing those lines. Like, I don't know a Dr. Lawson. Like, an interesting introspective line. Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Yeah. But that doesn't happen in this movie. This is, I don't know a Dr. Lawson. Like, enough of your mind games. What do you want? Like, and I don't think that's Brie Larson, because we know she can be emotional. But the director clearly didn't want her to have emotion in this movie. She has, like, very, very little emotion to any of her lines.
Yeah, she's quite firm on just her character and her stance. And
we've seen a character who, like, hides emotions, such as Loki. But we still see the actor carrying that in a sense where they can have these lines, but the hidden intention to their emotion behind the way they spout their dialogue. But
Yeah.
that does not happen here. So we just have her robotically spouting out her lines, which does not work. So when you're trying to make her funny, which happens in these first scenes, she's not funny, unfortunately.
Is that meant to be funny? Oh, I guess.
Well, not here, but a little bit after
times,
in the escape, there's some moments where she's trying to be funny and it doesn't really work out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Quippy, I guess, you know? She's not Iron Man, though, unfortunately. Anyway, so Veers has a nightmare on Hela. That's how this movie kind of starts off. It talks a little bit about, like, the intro into all this kind of stuff and tries to get a little bit about the stuff about alien races, like the Kree and the Skrulls, and catches all up. And I gotta be honest, I forget all this. Oh, is it Hala?
It's Hala. I was like, has nightmares on Hela, like Hela from Thor.
Oh, weird.
Like she's just
was,
on
you're
top
right.
of
It is
Hela
Hala.
having nightmares.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yep.
Yep.
Hala. So
Hala.
Veers has nightmares
Hala.
on the planet Hala. And she's explaining them to her trainer, as you mentioned before, Yon Rogg, the Obi-Wan Kenobi to the story, who seems to be scoffing off these nightmares. As we know later on, these nightmares are actually more flashes back to her memory that she has had wiped, I guess, for a while now.
Yeah.
So Veers and Yon Rogg are training, and then they're on their way to go meet the Supreme Intelligence, which seems to be some kind of leader, I guess, to the Kree here on Hala.
So when they're this is her first encounter, right? And then it's supposed to be that, like, did they say or kind of reveal that she got her powers from Supreme Intelligence? That's what she's made to believe, right?
I think that's that's what she's initially thinking. Yes.
Yeah, which is okay. That's fine. We don't need to go into that anymore. That's all.
It's just I had zero interest in it when it was happening. The Supreme Intelligence talks to Veers, is in the form of some woman that Veers has never met. By the way, the name Veers is so strange. The fact that her name was Veers, everyone's got a weird name, I guess, but still, Veers. I was like, what? Why is everyone calling her Veers? But anyways,
because that's her name.
Yeah.
Duh.
After talking to this creature that is a person that she doesn't know, but apparently has an emotional connection to, but she's not aware of this, so she should have a clue that she has memories she doesn't know. Anyways, she then is allowed to join the Star Force with Yon Rogg, and the Star Force also has who in it?
Korath the Pursuer. That's what it is.
Korath the Pursuer. Sounds like Ronan the Accuser. Interesting.
I wonder if they all just have like some sort of the pronoun.
It sounds like a very Viking or Nordic kind of thing, right? Like
Red,
Eric the Red or something, you know?
Right.
Anyway, so
Thor the Bearded.
She joins up with the Star Force team, and they go on a Star Force mission to go and rescue Solar, who is a Kree operative. This is again, it's very DC-like. When I'm thinking about this mission, it's just like an interest. It's like an action set that I have no interest in. And I'm not saying the movie is bad because I hate it. I'm just saying, while watching this movie, I should have some interest in the set. Even Ant-Man 2, I can have interest in the set. But with this, when they're like swimming to go to like this place, I don't even like necessarily care where they are in the moment. It's so annoying. Like I don't have much to like. The only thing I'll say that I was latching onto at least was the Skrulls. I at least found this idea of the Skrulls there interesting to me.
Yeah. The Skrulls are interesting, and they're going to be playing a part later on, so it's a nice kind of introduction to what the Skrulls are like. Oh, I do remember that after watching the movie, I thought, whoa, this is totally not what I remember the Skrulls being at all, because in the comics that I'm familiar with, the Skrulls were clearly the antagonists, and not like just misdirected or misjudged or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's tons of comics, so that's probably just the series that I'm referring to. But yeah, I wonder if the reason why we're just not interested from the beginning of the show or of the movie is because it starts with the nightmare, so kind of like the flashback thing, and so I guess like they're trying to open you up to just questions like, oh, what's going on, what's going to happen, what are you going to find out, but it's not enough to like kind of grip you into being invested in the character yet at all.
Definitely, there's nothing to latch onto.
Nothing to, yeah, exactly. It's questions, but they're not. I don't want to say they're not relatable questions, but they're just not emotionally. I don't know.
They're just hoping that you'll like sit in the minecart and go for the joyride, but like there's no reason to be there yet. It feels like they just missed such a crucial beginning, so that now that we're here on this mission and they're on this planet and they're trying to kill these people or capture this Solar character, and the whole mission goes awry. There's an ambush. We don't really care yet because I don't know who she's with. I don't know these people around her. I don't have any reason to relate to them. Meanwhile, in like Guardians of the Galaxy, what did they do? They started off with Peter when he was small, when he was a kid. Something relatable with his mother dying of cancer. You know, something that we all were like, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for you. And then they pull us into the weird stuff, right? Like
that's right. Yeah, I was actually going to say that. So later on, we get some more flashback scenes when she's a young girl, like at the carnival and on the go-kart track, and they're showing like how much she's failing and stuff, right? And I kind of feel like those would probably be better moments to start us off with, because we're seeing this girl that's already like, we can guess that she's going to be the main person or some sort of pivotal character, even if we don't know that she is Carol Danvers yet.
Yeah.
But at least starting off with a flashback showing a girl going through some troubled times can get us to feel like, oh crap, okay, so there's some history there from like when she was really young. She's probably been carrying it with her like all her life, as opposed to some sort of flashback that looks like that had only happened kind of recently. Right, which doesn't give us enough time to think like, okay, so she had, I mean, trauma is trauma, but I think the weight of the trauma, like just knowing that, you know, it's coming from when she was a kid and carrying that all of her life, I feel like that's more that we can latch onto.
Maybe that should be the Act 1 subtitle, is trauma is trauma. So
Captain Trauma.
Vers, she gets captured by Talos, or the Skrulls, I guess. It was an ambush from the Skrulls. She gets captured by them, and then we have the scene that we did at the beginning of this act, where she's being interrogated by Talos. Or Talos? Is it Talos?
Talos.
Yeah.
It's Talos, yeah.
And he's going through her memories, you know, and he's like, then why is she in her head, you know? So she's instantly kind of trying to wonder if these actually are her memories. Why are these there? So she breaks out, and there's a kind of an action sequence. She's trying to break out. She's trying to use her hand cannon things, but she can't because her hands are like locked down. And I get the idea. It was like, okay, so they're trying to introduce the hero one step at a time so we can understand her powers. And they actually, I'll give them a little bit of praise. They did a pretty good job by blocking off her hand cannons. We can at least understand that that's a power of hers, and that she should be able to do that, but she currently cannot. So she has to fight. So okay, so she knows kung fu, so she can fight and you know, hit all these people.
She knows kung fu.
I know kung fu. So we know that, and then does she fly? She doesn't fly at all. No, not in this sequence.
Not yet.
No, so we're kind of like guessing her powers at this moment. So in these fight scenes, that's where we learn about her and who she is and how she fights and how she becomes a hero, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, they sprinkle or they pepper in these little moments of trying to be comedic, but it doesn't work with the direction they've given Brie Larson for her character. So she comes off more like arrogant, but not smug, which can come off as comedic in its own right. She comes off as just arrogant for arrogance sake, which is just not fun. So when she's fighting the Skrulls here, I honestly couldn't tell you the line. She says some kind of line to the Skrulls when she fights them off and tries to do like a whole like, oh no, there's more. Like, and then like runs to go fight them kind of thing. But like it doesn't work with her character. So I have no problem with the stoic character. One of my favorite stoic characters is Captain America in like all stories. It's one of my favorite stoic characters. And Ned Stark as well is one of the highest ones that I really enjoy watching on screen. So I have no problem with her being stoic, but she needs to be always stoic or like...
Yeah. It's like,
or does it work?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, that's right. It's the consistency factor, right?
Yeah.
It's like the confidence in the fact that we can know she is like that and will continue to be like that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what, like, from the get-go, Captain America and Iron Man, like we learn what they are, and we know that they're there for, like, that's how they are for the rest of the movie.
Tony doesn't
right?
waver in his personality. Never.
Yeah.
Because his personality is to the core of who he is.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I guess in terms just to defend Carol Danvers' character, just considering that, her memories have been manipulated in a way that could contribute to just, like, overall personality, but I don't think that's what they would be trying to show. It doesn't seem to me like they're trying to make that, like, a purposeful thing in this movie.
Right.
Otherwise, like, I think she only kind of has, like, one emotional moment that I can think of, and it's at, like... It's just when she's talking to Maria.
Right.
It's Maria in this one, right?
Maria Rambaeu.
Maria Rambaeu, where she's trying to just like encourage her, and that's kind of the only time. Everything else is kind of just, I guess I could agree with the whole arrogant kind of persona. It's just a weird kind of confidence, but it's just not consistent. Yeah.
What I would like to see, what I think, not to rewrite it and make it better, but which is what I think might have worked a little bit better, is if she was trying to play off some kind of joke, some form of jokes maybe, that never land, like other people don't find her funny. Because if you think about it, she's a stranger, she's an alien in this place, right? Like these people don't really know her or
Yeah.
they didn't grow up with her, right? So maybe if she was trying to make some kind of joke or comedic value that nobody understood and didn't find funny, then when she's on Earth, she makes these same kind of jokes, but with Maria. And Maria instantly has like a perfect retort, and they instantly connect, right? And then she realizes like, oh, these are my people. Like that, something like that made,
or at least
make a bit
senses
more
something.
sense. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
but I
also
didn't get
think
that. Though.
Oh no, I lost it. I'll come back.
No!
To it. Oh no! I got it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
okay, the opening scene when she's training with Yon Rogg, the end of that sequence is that she loses control. Right? He's trying to get her to not use her powers to control them. In the end, she ends up using her powers. But the thing is, I don't really recall many scenes where they're strictly trying to show she is even struggling with that fact.
Right.
You know, like in the sequence with the Skrulls after her mind gets like interviewed, that she's escaping. I mean, she's using whatever she has at her disposal. So like she's using her ingenuity, she's using her combat skills, and then she also uses her powers, but like what powers she has, but she doesn't use them in some sort of uncontrollable way that ends up being like detrimental to her. Because I feel like that would make more sense, knowing that we got that opening scene, but. You know, that's not what we get. We just get a character who seems pretty in control of everything she is, except for just probability, right?
Yeah.
And then she ends up being able to escape, more or less fine. But yeah, it's another one thing that I guess it's a layer that opened, but they didn't keep peeling it. They didn't keep going through with that and just let it waft away and just move on to some other fact that they could try to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
An onion that didn't peel.
Yes.
Yeah.
An onion.
So she breaks free from the Skrulls. She's running around the whole base. She ends up finding a space pod. She jumps into the space pod, which I believe gets shot by Talos.
Talos, yeah.
But she still takes the space pod and goes off to Earth, but it malfunctions because of a shot. So then she falls off and ends up landing on what do they call a planet?
C-53.
Wow, thank you. So yeah, planet C-53, which is Earth. Okay. And she lands in a blockbuster, which, if we didn't already know, now tells us this has to be in like the 90s or early 2000s, which it's in the 90s. So we know it's...
No, it's earlier than that. It's like 80s?
What?
Isn't it?
Hoop. Shoot. No, it's 1995. Points for Mattbrush.
Okay. I was thinking, like, it's definitely not 2000s.
Sir,
but...
you were already 7 years old at this point.
Yeah, I was at least 7. Yeah.
Anyways, so she lands in a blockbuster, which we all know Blockbuster so well. I actually remember Blockbuster really well. I do remember going there and renting games, but to me, Blockbuster was the more expensive option. So.
Yeah, I actually rarely went to Blockbuster. Yeah. I went to my local Rogers Video.
Ooh, Rogers! Rogers was good too. Our Rogers got taken over by a Blockbuster. But yeah, I used to go to a More Than Movies, which was close to my house, and
whoa,
that was a good.
That's
one.
on the island.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was you could rent 5 movies for $5. Those were VHS at the time.
Wow. Holy.
Yeah, and video games were like, I think it was $5 for a N64 game, and you got it for a week. So that was pretty good for a rental.
That is pretty good.
But I remember like waiting for like, you know, that game you wanted to like be there at the rental store, and like sometimes they didn't have it, and I'd ask them if they could check like the rental the return bin. I could see if they could check the return bin to see if maybe somebody had returned it, you know.
Right.
Anyways, so yeah. Blockbuster, I do remember well. Good memories there. So she lands in a Blockbuster. Cool. I thought that was a nice reference. I remember Metrotown Mall in Burnaby did a little promotion for this at one of their stores, and they recreated a Blockbuster for this movie when it was coming out. Yeah, it was right when I was leaving Burnaby, and I remember seeing this. I took a photo of it. It was like crazy. They like recreated it. So,
like you could rent videos, or was it just
I think it was just promotional for the movie.
Kinda.
So I think you would go in. It was just like Captain America promotional stuff, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a weird thing they did at Metrotown Mall. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Blockbuster video was shown in the trailer, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be kind of strange to show promotional video of Blockbuster
like,
when nobody has any idea. Like, why does this connected? Yeah.
Although recreate a Blockbuster now, people will go for like the memes, for the jokes. Like people will go for sure. So
yeah, for sure.
Anyways, so she lands in a Blockbuster. She gets interrogated by S.H.I.E.L.D. There was like a security guard outside. He calls S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in. This is a weird take, and I don't really like this. And we'll get more into this later. But Nick Fury comes in with, hot on the press, whatever, Agent Coulson, who's like
the new rookie.
like, not sure like how he's gonna be yet with S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing. The strange thing to me about S.H.I.E.L.D. is they seem incredibly, like, ill-equipped as S.H.I.E.L.D. at this moment. They seem like just FBI.
They are.
But that seems weird to me. Now, I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but in my mind, at least, S.H.I.E.L.D. is, like, always way ahead of the game. And I'm not saying they have to understand about aliens and, like, extraterrestrial, but they just, like, they see someone with powers, or they hear, like, a thing about people with powers, and they're instantly, like, minds are blown. But I'm like, what about, like, Captain America? What about, like the Red Skull? Like, whatever happened with Ant-Man and the Wasp, and, like, all these things with S.H.I.E.L.D. from the past, where I'm like, they should not be surprised by heroes or any kind of people with enhanced powers in any way, shape, or form. All of this should seem actually fairly normal to them. The only thing that might be scary to them is outer space, I think.
Right. I guess, okay, if it's in the 90s, then yeah, because S.H.I.E.L.D. definitely was formed, like, way before by...
Well, it was back with Captain America in, like, the 40s.
Stark and... Well, okay, yeah, when it was Captain America, before... It was something before it was S.H.I.E.L.D. I forgot what it was, like the SSR? Something. It wasn't S.H.I.E.L.D. the way we know S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Okay.
It eventually became S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And but even still, yeah, because S.H.I.E.L.D. was definitely created by like Stark and Carter and later on. So yeah, it is kind of, actually that doesn't make sense. Why are they? Or maybe they're just trying to show like some sort of contrast with S.H.I.E.L.D. back then. With, of course, they'd be ill-equipped compared to what they are now, but it does seem strange that they don't understand that there are already forces outside of Earth that
Nick Fury just comes off as incompetent in this movie compared to what I would expect Nick Fury to be like in S.H.I.E.L.D. when he was younger and more in the game, you know? He doesn't he just seems shocked. This whole movie he's like comedic relief and like shock value. And that's about it. Like I don't know, he doesn't have anything where he is the surprise ace in the hole with some news that he's got as a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just him always receiving information and going like, oh, interesting. Like, that's about all it is for him. I just don't like that take. That's not what I expected from S.H.I.E.L.D. at any time period. You know, I would have expected them to be a bit more, like, on the game. Yeah. Yeah. We need more Peggy Carters, is what I'm saying.
We do.
Yeah. So, while she's being interrogated by S.H.I.E.L.D., they get interrupted by Skrulls. There's like a Skrull sniper. They've taken on the bodies of like surfers and stuff, and they've come and they try to snipe her. The sniper tries to snipe her.
Yes.
And she's chased by the Skrull for a little bit. No, the Skrull runs away. Then she chases the Skrull, and they go onto a train. And there's a whole scene where the Skrull takes over like an old woman, and she's interrogating all these people. Then there's like a weird CGI elderly woman fight that happens. That's like. Battle on a train, yada yada yada. They fight. Nick Fury
and meant to be funny because it looks like she's beating up an old lady.
Yeah. I'll admit the beginning's funny, kind of, and then it falls off the rails pretty quick, in my opinion. Then I'm just not interested in the fight scene. Then Nick Fury's in like a car, and he's trying to chase the train with his car. This whole thing is supposed to be like an exciting action scene, and I'm watching it like with like a glazed look in my eyes of just like, oh, like I don't know why, but it's just there's no stakes for me. I will admit the cool thing is when he realizes that Coulson is not Coulson. That's a good moment.
I like that.
I didn't expect that at all. I did not expect that at all. And just seeing when like he realizes it's a Skrull in the car with him, that was cool. And then, you know, Nick Fury actually does something interesting. He crashes his own car. He damages himself. But he also takes out the person next to him. You would think that a moment like this is where he loses his eye. Where he trusted somebody, and then he lost an eye. But no, this was just where he got in a car crash and then hurt one of his eyes. Like the wrong eye.
Well, that's one of the teases that they try to do for like the whole movie, right? They're trying to make you think like, oh, when is it that he loses his eye? Yeah. So that's just one of them. Yeah. Just hooking us in. Yeah. Yeah.
The last
and then,
time
on the train we get that we get the Stanley cameo.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought, okay, at first I was really confused. I remember I don't recall in the theater how I thought about it, but like watching it this time, I was like, wait, what happened? Because she's walking down the row, and then you see a guy with a newspaper in front of his face. You don't see his face, but you see the hair, the head, and stuff like that, and the clothes. But to me, it didn't actually look like it was Stan Lee. And then it cuts to her and goes back, and it's Stanley's face, like without the newspaper. So I almost wonder if that scene was edited in after, like it's somebody that was a stand-in for Stan Lee.
Yeah,
because something about that was like just looked really
Well, at
strange
this
to
point,
me.
Stanley was not in very good health.
No, he wasn't. So this is one of the last.
Yeah, they refilmed a lot of stuff for Stanley. Sorry, what I mean is they pre-filmed a lot of stuff for Stanley. So there's a lot of heavy CGI stuff happening in all these last Marvel movies with Stan Lee in there. I wouldn't be surprised there's a body double for a little bit, or like hey, if we're gonna do a Stan Lee, this might be a good moment. Let's throw a guy in there that kind of looks like him for now, and then we'll decide later in post. You know. But
yeah, because they also filmed the Endgame cameo with him like really early too. Didn't
they did. Back in the time of Doctor Strange is when I remember them saying they were pre-filming stuff with Stan Lee. So when we saw Doctor Strange where they like land on the bus and he's reading like a book on something, that was already a pre-film scene. So they pre-filmed like all of these back then. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, so there's a Stan Lee cameo, which she just kind of gives him a pass because he's Stan Lee. Later on, after this whole thing breaks out, the Skrull is taken out by Nick Fury. We cut back to Veers, and she's called...
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I just remembered. This is the beginning of the movie, the opening scene, or the opening, what'd you call it? Not crawl. But when they show the whole, like, Marvel logo, Marvel Universe logo.
Yeah, they were paying homage to Stan Lee.
It was, the whole Stan Lee tribute, which I thought was kind of cool. It was nice to see something a little bit different, and, I just wanted to mention that because,
I did forget about that.
we don't have a lot of moments where, obviously, Stan Lee is very pivotal with the whole, like, Marvel as a whole, not just the MCU. Yeah. So I like that they took the time to do that for him.
Right. This actually, I guess had he passed away by this movie's release? I guess he might have.
I think he passed away for sure before Endgame. I don't recall about...
I think it might have been just before this movie's release. This might have been the first movie after he had passed away.
Let's see. November 12th is when he passed away. Captain Marvel release date was 2019. So yeah, he did pass away before Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Anyways, so Veers collects her memories back from a skull crystal, and she steals a motorbike in a very 90s, or in some 90s clothing, and kind of just drives off into the sunset to go to like some bar. And then Fury and the new guy Keller, who is kind of Fury's boss at S.H.I.E.L.D. there, they're dissecting a body here, which is a Skrull body. They're looking over like an autopsy here of the Skrull. And there's a really weird moment here where Talos, who has taken over Keller, but we don't know this yet, is like fondling the head of this Skrull, and then goes up to it and he's like your death will not be in vain, brother, like saying like some kind of stuff to him. But it's like super over the top and like, I don't know, it's like over animated to the point where it's like if anybody saw him in this moment, like he just covers blown. He just looks so awkward. Like,
it is kind of
it was like his Hail Hydra moment, pretty much. Hail Hydra.
Right. I guess like the what they're trying to show with his compassion for his or for his brother, his dead brother, is that he's trying to. They're trying to paint a little bit more so that the Skrulls aren't actually what we think. Like they're not just like merciless killing creatures. They have kind hearts. They have compassion.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Judge it by the way it caresses your head.
Right. That's where I ended my first act. Where are you abouts with that?
Where am I? My act 2 starts after we reveal that there's a shield. And before I can't eat toast if it's cut diagonally.
Oh, yeah, so that's pretty much the same spot.
Probably the same spot.
That's really the next scene for Act 2 for me. So Act 2 is pretty much them on their mission. So here we go. Act 2. I called Spy versus Spy.
I called Know Your Enemy. Something typical. Know your enemy.
Totally fine.
That's all it is.
We got a scene here. Carol Danvers and Nick Fury. I'll play Carol Danvers. You play Nick Fury.
Okay.
You have 3 names? What do people call you?
Fury.
Just Fury?
Yep. Not Nicholas, not Joseph, just Fury.
What does your mother call you then?
Fury.
What do your friends call you?
Fury.
Kids?
If I ever had them, Fury.
Nice. Did you laugh at that scene? I did not laugh at that scene. It again felt forced. It's like comedically forced.
I'm pretty sure I didn't laugh the first time around. I probably I did think I laughed on the inside. Yeah.
The idea
I didn't
of
laugh
his kids
out loud,
calling him Fury was not funny to me.
Yeah,
should be Dad.
Sure. Yeah. I don't think there was any we don't need We don't need to have it forced down our throat that, like, we know him as Fury.
I know.
We don't need a reason to not call him anything else.
They're only using this joke to set this up for, like, if a Skrull can be identified as a Skrull, right? So...
Oh, does he call him... Why? He calls him Fury later?
Yeah,
or in the elevator scene?
Yeah, in the elevator scene.
Right,
he calls
him... Nicholas.
Nicholas, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Honestly, you didn't have to give us a joke, though, about, like, how his name is Fury. Like, if people just called him Fury around him, and somebody just said Nicholas, and then you show him
we would totally get it, exactly.
You show him just doing, like, a weird little, like, motion looking at him, we would know. We would instantly know. Like,
that's so true.
Show, don't tell.
That's so true, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so Nick and Veers meet up at this bar. I feel like it's called Jack's Bar, but I don't actually remember.
Well, we're calling it Jack's Bar now.
We're going to call it Jack's Bar. So this is where Carol actually has some memories from, and she's starting to get some flashes of the memories here.
She's getting Jack flashes.
Jack flashes. Yes. And she's remembering some moments with, is it Maria? Maria Rambaeu?
Yes, Maria.
She's kind of remembering this person a little bit here as she's drinking at the bar, having a good time, when she went off to, like, war, joined the military. Girls can't join the military, but she joined the military. Just little, like, moments that are flashing in her mind while she's here. Then she sees a ship. She sees a plane. She asks Nick, what plane is this? This somehow leads to a conversation about Nick and S.H.I.E.L.D. and how Nick can take her to the S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of headquarters, and they can go look at more stuff about this kind of stuff. So she's like, all right, I'm going to roll with Chew. And also she tells him about the Skrulls. He says, how do I know you're not a Skrull? She does a whole song and dance where she, like, shoots a photon blast, which, for good reason, Nick's like, how does that explain at all that you're not a Skrull?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good moment. Right? It's a valid question. Then she just tells him that's not what Skrulls can do, and then he just takes her word for it because he trusts her. Mm-hmm. I feel like maybe just one more scene of, like, why he should trust her, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a better scene of him just going off his usual emotion. You know, like the way he reacts and the way he actually presents his lines. Like, this was one of the times where, like, okay, yes, this is the Fury we know, and it works well with this kind of interaction. Yeah. And so, yeah, it'd be nice to get more of those.
Is the sun in the west? No, is the sun up? Then put it on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
He's... I like Nick Fury, but I feel like he gets worse over time. But I do like him. I still like him. It's just... There's so much potential with his character, but over time, he does not age well.
Yeah. Well, some people just don't. You know, age hits people differently.
But he is good in, like, Avengers. He's great.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites. Anyways, so they head off to this dark... What do they call it? Joint Dark Energy Facility in Nevada. Some place where S.H.I.E.L.D. is hanging out and making dark energy, I guess.
Is that what it's literally called?
I was looking at the
I see here.
Notes.
Project Pegasus, Joint NASA U.S. Air Force Facility.
Yeah. But I don't know why. The MCU notes, it says dark energy facility, so they must be doing some stuff there. I don't know what.
I guess that's Project Pegasus. Cool. All right.
Yeah, so they go there, and they quickly... Nick starts to get a little bit worried. There's a lot of telltale signs that they are actually set up here. They're in a room. The room is locked. The door has, like, a mark where it's been slid open and slammed shut. And they learn about Project Pegasus in this facility. And then Lawson, and there being this whole missing pilot plot. This is where Veer starts to think about the fact that she might be this missing pilot. She tells this to Fury. Fury starts to mull over all these ideas. As this is happening, Fury then starts to notice that S.H.I.E.L.D. is ambushing them, and this is where all of his suspicions come true. And pretty much at this moment, he decides to go rogue with Veers because he trusts her more than he does S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment. While this is happening, they meet a cat. The cat they name... What did they name it?
Goose?
Goose the cat? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Gustav.
Is this supposed to be a reference to, like... Wait, is there a Goose? No, it's
I'm
Iceman and Maverick, right? No, this is Goose. Maverick and Goose.
Oh,
in Top Gun?
Top Gun? Maybe. It might be because of the jets. Yeah, I never thought about it.
I kind of assume, because we're doing, like, Air Force stuff, and I don't know, I just felt like Goose seemed appropriate for, like, maybe, who knows? Or just Nick Fury likes calling Goose. Animals different types of animals. I don't know.
A dog named Moose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they escape in what is apparently called a quad jet, which I guess is the precursor to the Quinjet.
To the Quinjet.
So they escape in a quad jet, and they head off to Louisiana, which we do get a line here from Nick Fury that I do enjoy, where she's kind of like, we're going to Louisiana, where's that? And then he's kind of like, I've been there like a billion times. It's just down over here. Like, he just like says like go east or something. He's like go northeast. But like for some reason I love that because that nonchalance kind of attitude from Nick Fury, that's the Nick Fury I'm expecting to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Liked it.
I don't even remember the line, but I agree.
They head to Louisiana and they meet up with Rambaeu. Not John Rambo though. Maria Rambaeu. Which totally makes sense for Louisiana because it's got that French-American kind of culture to it. So, Rambaeu.
Wait, did she have something that said her nickname was Photon for some reason?
I feel like she was supposed to be Photon. So, and to be honest, I think later on in Scarlet Witch, in WandaVision, I mean, there's a moment where she looks at the plaque of her mother, which is Maria Rambaeu, and it says Maria Photon Rambaeu. So I feel like she originally was supposed to be Photon.
I think. Okay, wait. I'm trying to find
the
scene where she sees the picture. Oh, here it is. Nope, this is not. Wait. Is it?
No.
Wait. I think I see black. Nope. Okay, I didn't find it. Never mind. Maria Photon Rambaeu. Oh yes, it is. Okay, sorry. Because wait, what? Then why? I'm so confused by.
I know.
Monica.
Yep.
Monica is
actually
like Rambo
Photon.
in quotes. But then Maria is Photon in quotes? Did I get that right? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. In this movie, at least, Maria and Monica are staying at their house where they normally chill, I guess, and Carol reconnects with them and understands that they were good friends of hers from back in the day. While this is happening, she learns that her real name is Carol Danvers, and this is why her nickname was Veers for some reason, because the last 4 letters of her name was Vers, so that makes her name Veers.
Yeah.
So
don't you get it?
Oh, I just got it.
It's so obvious.
So Talos and the Skrulls arrive, and they start. That was actually a pretty creepy moment when you realize the Skrull is outside pretending to be Monica's mother.
That
was actually pretty good. I like that. I think there's more Skrull stuff that could happen that could be interesting. In fact, if the Skrulls were villains, I feel like they'd be really compelling villains because it'd be so hard to tell where they are.
Yeah.
But I'm actually kind of glad they're not villains because the idea of Skrulls taking over all the characters I love it's really tough. You know, I already had that enough with Harry Potter 4 and Professor Moody, and I don't want more of that.
I have a feel. I thought that was supposed to happen later on with the whole Skrull invasion kind of concept.
One character you've known and
Phase
loved was not
4.
who you thought they were.
They were invaded. Skrully.
Scrully. Yes. So they're the Talos and the Skrulls. They come over there, and then there's a temporary alliance struck between the Skrulls and these humans all here at the Rambaeu household, I guess. While this alliance is struck, it's because they've kind of learned that there is a secret laboratory of Lawson, and that she was actually a double agent. She was, for one, a Kree, and she was a double agent, though, from the Kree working for the Skrulls, and she was trying to teach them about her, what was it, like, fast light travel kind of technology or something like that?
Engine light speed?
Yeah, something that was going to help the Skrulls out so they could get away from the, like, overempowering thumb of the Kree, I guess.
Light speed engine, that's what it's called.
The light speed engine.
Yes.
Hit to light speed! So they listened to the black box tapes, interestingly enough, to the fighter jet. And the black box tapes survived in this instance. So when this happens, Carol gets to listen to her journeys, I guess, while she was with Lawson, and learn that she's actually Carol, and what everybody's been telling her is true, and that so everything she's known is a lie, essentially. At this moment, this is where Captain Marvel essentially is born, the real Captain Marvel that we should know from this point. So, she learns about all this, and then she also learns that Lawson's name was Mar-Vell, which I'm sure is way more striking in the comics, but when you hear it in a movie like this, it comes off as so cheesy. My fiance, when she heard that, she just like rolled her eyes so loudly that I like, she was like, how, why, what is going on? She already didn't like the name Captain Marvel because she said that waters down the name of all of Marvel, which I actually kind of agree, but still, it was like Mar-Vell.
I can see that. Yeah. So yeah, Mar-Vell is I guess in the comics, because that Marvel comics were from like, those were old school.
Old school.
And yeah, I don't recall like how Mar-Vell was revealed as a character to begin with, but Yeah, it does. It does kind of make it. I guess watered down would be the way to put it, because then, we're attaching like her as the. You can't help but attach her as the character, and think of like Marvel, like, okay, is she supposed to be sort of like some sort of originating creature or like force of Marvel Comics? Like, why choosing this name? But I mean, it's not like they can really help it too much, because like the character already pre-exists.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they can call her Veers, Captain Veers.
Captain Veers, yeah, or Dr. Veers. Yeah.
So they learned about this laboratory that's floating in space. It's actually orbiting Earth, and they decide that they're going to go there to go and find Talos' lost brethren. So they trick out the quad jet, and they get it ready for space travel, and then everyone's going to space.
Yep.
Everybody's going
Asgard
up to space.
is a people, not a place, and it is in space with the Skrulls.
Space.
That's what it is.
Yep. So at this moment, then they go to the orbiting lab. They meet up with the Skrull refugees, I guess you call them, like, or whatever they are. They're just like people trying to live out on this laboratory. It's Talos' family, essentially, and some other Skrulls.
Yeah, I guess refugees make sense because they're the ones that are just like surviving, right? I was also going to mention, so before this, they have that whole, like, when they're striking that deal with Talos and stuff, and they're asking him like what he can transform into. I want to like it, but I don't know if I do yet. But the whole like, oh, what can you transform into? Like, can you transform into a cat? What's a cat? Yeah. Can you transform into a filing cabinet? Why would I transform into a filing cabinet? I think they're probably good choices for things to add. Like, if you were to think of something funny to ask, but also just think of a thing to ask because you're curious, I think those kind of make sense. The cat thing, obviously, they're trying to make something happen with the whole like cat flirkin thing.
Yeah.
And the filing cabinet, like, I like them asking the question because, yeah, like, can he transform into an inanimate object and what would happen? But
right.
It's one of those scenes where they're trying to really pull off like a really big comedic moment, but I just don't know if it works that well.
Yeah, I don't find the listing of the items very funny, although I did laugh at the "what is a cat" line. I just thought that was really funny based on his previous thing where he's like, that's a floorkin, like, don't touch that thing. He's so freaking out. Getting turned into a cat, what's a cat? Like, so quickly, like, it was just that was good humor, I think, for that one moment.
Like, subsequently
that's all they needed, then they could just cut away from that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's true. Yeah, if they just cut it there, that would have been good. Yeah. The filing cabinet is kind of just pushing it a bit too far.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's more forced. More forced scripting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. So while they're reunited with Talos and his family, there's a nice touching moment there where they're all kind of like, oh, we're alive, we're survived, and you kind of start to sympathize with these Skrulls, which is nice. You start to realize they're not the villains. It's all about the Kree. It's all about the Kree.
I start my Act 3 when they meet up with them, actually.
Ow.
Yeah, where do you...
Why don't we just start Act 3 then? Act 3 it is! I named Act 3 Birth of Captain Marvel.
Okay. I named mine Come As You Are. Because...
What are you waiting for?
It's the song that's playing when she meets Supreme Intelligence again.
Oh, okay.
The Nirvana song.
As you are, Nirvana.
Yeah, that's the one.
So 90s. Most 90s song in the world. Except for Smells Like Teen Spirit might be a little bit more 90s. Anyways, we got a scene here. I'll play Coulson, you play Fury.
Okay.
We have no idea what other intergalactic threats are out there. And our one-woman security force had a prior commitment on the other side of the universe. S.H.I.E.L.D. alone can't protect us. We need to find more.
More weapons?
More heroes.
You think you can find others like her?
We found her, and we weren't even looking.
Dun dun dun!
And we weren't even looking.
What next? A man from the sky who tries to get a hammer out of a dirt pit?
With blonde hair?
Har? So yes, Talos reunites with his family. Then, bang, Yon Rogg comes out of nowhere. Turns out he's the bad guy. There was actually a moment...
so bad?
He's still bad. He goes down to Earth and he interrogates who he thinks is Carol Danvers in a pretty good scene, actually. A pretty good interrogation scene. It turns out to be a Skrull. Because...
The sacrificial Skrull.
Yeah, sacrificial Skrull. I actually feel bad for that Skrull because I feel like, what else were they going to do?
Yeah.
They were going to die.
They knew this was coming. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then after that, Skrulls get reunited, and yeah, Danvers, I'm just going to call her Danvers now instead of Vers, because I hate Vers. She finds the Tesseract here.
Danvers.
Veers, sorry. She finds the
Danvers.
Tesseract here on the secret laboratory, which I thought was kind of cool. I did not realize the Tesseract was going to be this light speed travel energy. That totally makes sense, since it's being the Space Stone. It actually makes sense for fast travel. While she's got the Tesseract, she's ambushed by the Star Force, who come out of nowhere. Who? Who? Who are you?
Oh, I wish he talked more in this one.
I know, it would have been kind of funny. It would have been great if she was like, I'm Captain Marvel. Who?
Who?
That would have been funny if that was like a trait of his, or if he had amnesia, that would have been even more funny.
Just he's in every movie at some point, and he just has an encounter with every single protagonist.
Where? Why? How?
Who is Gamora?
Anyways, she gets placed under some kind of like stasis thing, where she once again gets to meet the Supreme Intelligence, which looks
they
like,
get to have a hangout.
as we now know, looks like Lawson, which was
As
kind
Marvel.
of the actual Obi-Wan Kenobi mentor to Carol Danvers here, who is, yes, Marvel.
Although this is more like
a
the
name I have not
Sidious
heard in
to
a
the
long
Vader.
time. Yeah, the Supreme Intelligence is kind of Darth Sidious.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. The
And-
puppet.
The
Puppet Master, not the puppet. Yes, the Master, not the puppet.
puppet
I was
would
gonna
be
say
Yon
the
Rogg.
puppet strings, but she's definitely not strings. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's placed under the stasis. The Supreme Intelligence pretty much goes like, "You can't defeat me. I can puppet master you throughout everything," And then she eventually just kind of uses her Carol Danvers powers of might and frees herself.
Might and magic. Heroes of might and magic.
She frees herself from the stasis, and she breaks free. Break free. And while she does this, Goose the cat actually is a florkin.
A flurkin.
Florkin, and eats the Kree soldiers as well as
like-
the Tesseract.
I feel like it's supposed to be kind of like a flurry chicken or something, like
maybe.
flurkin. But no, that also doesn't make sense.
I'll admit, I don't. I feel like I don't jump to movies very often, but I actually jumped at this scene because I did not know this was coming. And just the noise that came out of nowhere from this cat thing, it just like it was so loud. Suddenly, I was like, "Oh, geez!" Like I wasn't expecting it. So instead of laughing, I actually got a jump scare out of the goose thing. Unexpected jump scare. So the Goose Cat eats the Kree soldiers as well as the Tesseract, and while this is happening, Danvers fights the Star Force, while the Skrulls escape using the quad jet to get back, or well, not really to Earth, no, just to escape outside of the secret laboratory. Talos is shot by Yon Rogg in this moment, so Talos is unable to fight back, so they all have to get into their secret pod and fly away. Yon Rogg,
That's pretty much it.
yeah, Yon Rogg calls Ronan the Accuser out of nowhere, and suddenly Ronan's in this movie. I know he was sort of briefly mentioned earlier, but he's now just suddenly here and present. He seems,
Well, he was so Yon Rogg was like in contact with him a couple times.
yeah, he seems different in this movie to what I was expecting. I don't know what I wanted out of Ronan, but when I heard Ronan was going to be in this movie, I guess I was expecting something entirely different from this. The way this plays out, Ronan doesn't seem scary in any way, shape, or form, because it's like she could have just murdered Ronan in this scene. Like she just like when she turns into like super crazy Super Saiyan Captain Marvel and starts taking out like all the planes and then like takes out like one of Ronan's full ships, and then she just like stares at Ronan and he's just like, okay, we're getting out of here.
I like how like the eyes of like Ronan and his like one first-hand man or whatever you call it, like because their skin is blue and so their big white eyes just totally pop.
Yeah.
And just he's got that moment of like yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like that happens because I liked Ronan. I thought Ronan was a really interesting villain who was only defeated by the gems or the stones. He wasn't necessarily defeated by a person. It was the power of the Power Stone that was able to defeat Ronan. I feel like the only person that could actually kill Ronan would have been Thanos. So, yeah, I don't know. I liked him a lot as a villain, and I don't like what this movie does with him. He feels really watered down now, so I don't feel threatened by him in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't need to because he's so in the past for us as audience that we don't really need to. We don't need to get hyped up about him all over again. So I think it's okay. It's fine. Just let it go, Mattbrush. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. The movie's over.
It's true. While the quad jet is trying to get away, it is pursued by Min-Erva. Could you imagine? All these names are just puns. It's just awful.
Wait, Minerva is a pun?
Yeah, Min-Irva is supposed to be Minerva, like the name Minerva. You're like Minerva McGonagall.
Oh, her name is Min-Irva?
Yeah. Just like
Oh.
Yon-Rogg and just like Marv-L. Or Valias.
Wait, what's Yon? Is Yon Rogg a thing?
No, it's just they all have dashes, and then it's like,
Oh, I
okay,
see.
so Min-Irva is supposed to be another name. It's like, oh, come on.
Oh. So, like, Yon Rogg should have just been, like, Day-Vid or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it make more sense?
Fraser.
Joe-E.
Joe-E. Joey! Joey doesn't share food! So, anyways, yeah, Minerva is trying to take down the quad jet, and then Rambaeu comes out of nowhere with, like, her Top Gun moment, and she, like, goose shoots down the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happens. Yon Rogg and Danvers have a nice duel, but it's not really.
I hate...
So tell me why you hate this scene. Tell me
This is the scene I was talking
Tell
about.
me your
Like,
woes.
okay, this scene does not need to happen at all. Like, they do not need to have an encounter. We already know, like, we know her personality enough to know she's not going to do anything to him, and his just, like, overemphasized way of getting her to fight hand to hand, it's just like, it's just such a waste of time. Like, I really did not enjoy watching this pan out, and I would have been fine if the movie ended before this happened.
I would have been fine. The movie ended like way back when. Like, yeah.
But I did like what happened. Wait, was it just before or after when Nick is holding the cat and then Nick is holding the Flurkin or petting the Flurkin, and then the Flurkin scratches his eye, and then he says, "Oh, it's just a scratch," and then Talos is like, "No," and that's it. I kind of like that, actually.
So weird.
It was
It's not
weird,
at
but I
all
liked
how I
it.
expect him to lose his eye, and I was just mad at that scene. I was just.
Yeah.
I wanted
Well,
it to
yeah,
be
of
something
course.
heroic, and obviously they're trying to subvert expectations, but it wasn't fun for me.
I think
I'm
yeah,
upset.
I get it. It would have been cool if it was like some sort of like really like awesome heroic moment too.
Yeah.
I get it, and I think because I think everybody expected that or like wanted that, which is why they didn't like, no, we're not gonna give it to you. We're
Yeah.
just gonna do
We're
like
gonna
what
give
we
you a
want. So I'm
Flurkin.
like, yeah, which I'm fine with, but I specifically like Talos' reaction. Like, he knew the whole time it was a Flurkin. Everybody else was wrong. And now that you got the scratch, like, I'm telling you, it's not just a scratch. You're an idiot. But he says it all with no.
No.
And a slight head shake. So
No.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fury gets his eye taken out. Yon Rogg gets destroyed. Essentially sent back to Hala with a warning.
Hala.
Hala at your boy. Skrulls take camo? What am I even saying?
Wait, what?
Skrulls take refuge at Rambaeu's house. I don't even know what I'm trying to write in my notes anymore. I lost my
Where
notes.
are you? Okay.
Skrulls take camo.
Skrulls take camo.
I don't even know
Nice.
what that means.
They
take
meant
refuge
to,
at the
they
Rambaeu
wanted to
house.
camouflage in Rambo's house.
They camouflage as a house.
Yeah, they all turn into filing cabinets.
Carol makes a receiver for Nick. She says, "Call me when in danger." Hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But don't call me if it's
there you
like an alien invasion of New York. Don't call me if it's like a robot that takes a whole like city or country and puts it up in a giant rock. Only
Yeah.
call me if it's Thanos.
And when he's got a gauntlet and he's about to snap.
Yeah, exactly. Then Carol decides to tugboat the Skrulls away to their home planet somewhere in space, with the powers of. Is it the powers of the Space Stone? No, it's not even. She just uses her powers, I guess, to take.
She's
them away.
got she's not limited anymore by
No.
her own. By Supreme Intelligence is like the nicotine patch that she had on her neck. Yeah.
Exactly. And then at the scene that we already portrayed, Fury creates the Avengers Initiative, which again, I feel like makes the Captain America movie make much less sense. If Nick's all like, oh, instead of like the Heroes Initiative or whatever the heck he had written down, he's
I
like,
think Protector.
yeah, Protectors, I'll make it the Avengers. But it's like, okay, if Carol is the reason why you called it the Avengers Initiative, then why is Captain America called the First Avenger?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Or like call them the Danvers Initiative or
Well,
something. Or like yeah.
Or, you know what, like, I don't mind if she inspires Nick in any way, shape, or form to what starts the Avengers, just
Mm-hmm.
not the name. The name was already a thing with the first Captain America. That was the whole point of
Yeah.
Captain America coming out just before the Avengers movie. But
It's
like,
kind of like a very subtle retcon, in
yeah.
a way,
Oh,
right?
it's so frustrating to me, though.
Yeah, or at least you could have, like, if Carol Danvers inspires him, then he could have called them the Carolers. You know, I might have been okay with that if all the Avengers were the Carolers.
You know what's even better? Here's a better homage, actually. How about Captain America has like a famous line, you know, something like, it is our job to protect the Earth from all forces of evil or something, right? And it's like in a newspaper at his desk, right? And Carol happens to say the exact same line to Nick, and he's thinking about that line. And he looks at that newspaper clipping, and he sees Captain America said it, and he's just like, yeah, these are people that think this way. These are Avengers. Boom. Do. Like, it's so dumb. Like, do something better. I don't know. Be better is all I'm saying to Marvel at this point. Be better than this.
Oh well, they got bigger fish to fry in the next movie.
They do.
They just wanted to answer some questions, and that's it.
True. Let's end this whole thing. So we get to the after credit scenes. There's the Endgame Captain Marvel scene, which is very strange because this is not actually even a scene from Endgame. This is just a scene where Captain Marvel suddenly shows up when they're looking at like the beeper. It's like beeper, beeper.
Oh well,
beeper.
I guess it's not an Endgame scene. It's an in between scene because it's literally happening before Endgame.
Oh,
like before the movie.
I just got that now. Of course, she goes there first and then heads off. I never got
that's
that.
why.
Because this whole scene was just like retconned as soon as Endgame came out. Like,
yeah, because because Hulk or Bruce Banner was still Bruce at this point when she came, and
you're right. Okay, I get that now. Wow, I did not get that when I saw this. I was so confused.
You're just looking for things to hate. That's what you're doing.
Next one was Fury's cat, which I am wondering, when does this take place? This Fury's cat scene.
I guess. Let's see. Wait, what's on the desk? Fury. I mean, it still looks like he's got old school stuff. Like, look at that computer monitor.
True.
So
although that looks like during the time the cat's just like spitting out the Tesseract randomly on his desk?
think it's probably like later that night or something.
What does Nick do when he like goes to his desk and the Tesseract is sitting on it?
Oh, he looks for the Flurkin and tries to find out.
Put this back in your mouth.
I don't want this.
We're trying to hide this. Anth0z, what is your worst character to this film?
I don't know. Probably Yon Rogg. Probably Carol Danvers. Probably no, maybe not Talos. I don't know. Let's just go with Yon Rogg.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yon Rogg. I don't like Carol that much, but I like Yon Rogg worse. He's not as good. So.
Yeah,
which sucks. I like Jude Law a lot. I like Brie Larson a lot too. I like Samuel Jackson. Like it's just annoying to me.
They all do, they all do a good job. As actors for sure.
Actually, the actor for Talos I don't like all that much. He's pretty bad in Ready Player One. So.
Do you like him in Star Wars?
Oh, you're right. He's not bad in Rogue One.
Yeah. I think he normally does a good job. Ready Player One. Oh, that's right.
He's just so over the top in Ready Player One. That might not be his fault, but that's what I was using as a reference.
Yeah, it's also just the movie. The book is just way better.
I know.
And I'm not saying that
he's pretty good in Rogue One though. You're right.
Yeah, he's good in Rogue One. Yeah. Anyway, what's your best character then?
I think I'll go with Talos because I did actually laugh at a few of Talos' lines. Talos was just different enough for me to kind of enjoy. So. Yeah.
Okay. I want to go with the Flurkin.
The Tesseract was my favorite character.
the filing cabinet was my favorite. I don't know. Maybe like Monica.
Yeah, I don't blame you. She wasn't bad. She didn't really do anything all that criminalizing. Like, she was pretty good.
She seemed like a decently
a good roadie.
Kid.
She's a good roadie. She's a good Falcon. She's a good all the side characters. I'm trying to think about the side characters.
That's
but
right. Yeah,
she's just
kinda,
a good
she's
side
character.
There,
yeah, and not Maria, but Monica, like the little daughter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was totally thinking Maria in my head. No, okay, Monica. Yeah, Monica
was okay,
too,
but I think Monica just has this thing about her. I'm just gotta go with Monica.
Monica, have a
happy Hanukkah.
Anyways,
saw Santa Claus. He said hello to Ross.
Don't blame
Joey.
Christmas will be starry. And Rachel This is now a Friends podcast.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm going to skip the next one. We don't even have time. So thank you for listening to this podcast, everyone. We are done, Captain Marvel, and I never have to watch this movie again.
Oh, wait. What's your favorite thing about this movie?
Let me say the setting. I actually think it's interesting to see a 90s perspective of Marvel. I thought it was cool to go back in time. I wish we saw a lot more, but I'd say the setting is the most interesting thing about this film.
Okay. My favorite thing is that when you finish watching it, it means that Endgame is next. That's my favorite thing about the movie.
Well, in my Marvel playlist, Captain Marvel will never touch it again. So.
Fair.
Thank you all for listening to this podcast. I'm sorry you had to slog through it. We tried our best. We really did. And
I actually had a difficult time talking about this movie. Yeah. Not gonna lie.
And I know we're rushed, so we didn't do this as good of a justice as we could have. But we are just trying to get to Endgame because we have a lot we have to record. So. Thank you all so much, and be sure to listen to our next podcast, which is going to be Endgame!
And it will be the end!
Of the game!
Of all things. Yeah, or the game. Yeah.
Of the game, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, everybody!
Okay, bye, everybody!
Bye! 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 Bye!